Hi guys, in this video there are three segments. The first one is I'm going to qualify the information I'm about to give very quickly for you. Secondly, I'm going to explain how you can leave the country without paying the fine. It's important to note that you can no longer pay the fine in the airport like you used to be able to. So I'll get into that. And then the third section will be how to pay the fine in the National Migration Headquarters. So first of all, this information isn't just something I found online, got on social media, got from Just Migration themselves. This advice and information, just like my other videos, comes from personal experience, so that's anecdotal. It comes from friends and associates' experience, and it comes from speaking directly myself to migration in the airport, asking questions and going to the National Migration Headquarters in Panama. It not only covers the theoretical, it covers the practical. And what you might not know is when you ask someone in Panama something, even like a migration official, you should never really take what they say as absolute. You would want to ask more than one person on more than one occasion, and then you would actually want to check it out to see that it works. Just for example, I was in the National Migration Headquarters the other week and I asked someone upstairs who was giving information the same question as someone downstairs, and I got two different answers. So this information is as good and as real as it gets from both theoretical and practical application. On quickly to point two, if you have overstayed your tourist visa, that's just a stamp in your passport which will say you are allowed 90 days or 180 days. It's 180 currently only for Canadian and USA passport holders. All friendly nations and most other countries are limited to 90 days. It goes off number of days, not off calendar months. And once you exceed that, you owe the Panamanian government a fine, which they call the Multa. You used to be able to pay this fine in the airport just before you left. You can no longer do that. This is a very significant change. So what will happen if you go to the airport to leave the country and you've not prepared, you will either miss your flight or you will be able to leave the country. Most likely they will authorise you to leave, but what they will do is give you a notice that you are in debt. So you owe that fine and you cannot re-enter Panama unless that fine is paid. So it's a bit of a catch-22, because how are you going to pay that fine unless you're in the country to go to migration and pay it? You'd have to organise someone and trust someone to go and do that for you. It is possible, you could get a lawyer to go and do it or someone you trust, but it just complicates things. And so I would advise, if you're aiming or expecting to ever return to Panama, that you get it sorted out before leaving the country. In the same calendar month, you would want to take your flight once you've paid the fine. So the next section is the longest section. I'm going to explain how to pay the fine. It's not that simple, and it does take a while to do. However, in this section, I'm just going to keep on with the scenario that you arrive at the airport. What you need to do so you don't miss your flight is not go to the migration and security line that your airline tells you to, because they just recommend a certain one because it's nearer to the physical gate. What you need to do, as you look, if you're facing the line to go through migration and security to get to the gate, what you need to do is go to the far left end of the airport. So in the furthest migration and security line in the airport on the left, there are the migration officers or the most senior people of migration who can authorise you to leave the country. Well, you actually fill the form out there. So again, you need a bit of time. You're going to fill this form out. They will keep the form and they will send that through to Migration Headquarters to register that you are on this list of people who owe the fine and have not paid the fine. But as a courtesy to you, so you don't miss your flight, just goodwill, they will let you exit the country with that status. What I would say is arrive fairly early at the airport. You never know how long the queues are just to get to that point. And then when you get to that point, you don't know if that particular official will be busy, because the person who's actually on the migration desk checking people and allowing them to pass through will refer you to someone more senior to do that form. So that's my advice. And I really wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're so sure you're never going to come back to Panama. Now here's a tip: if you do go through, once you've filled that form and you've got that status of being a debtor, and you go to get your flight but you miss your flight, what you need to do is come back through migration and everything, just tell them you've missed your flight. But when you get outside into the main arrival hall, go back upstairs, go to that place where I've said on the far left, the line for entry to departures on the left. Speak to the migration officer there and say you would like to cancel that form that they're going to send through to headquarters. So they have a stack of forms there. If you've missed your flight, you don't want that form to go through because it's going to complicate things. They will refer you again to the senior officer there. They will have a look at the stack, they'll pick yours out and they'll destroy it, and then you are in the country. You can go and pay the fine, the whole fine at headquarters, and there's no sort of danger of that form crossing over and things getting complicated. Let's get on to segment 3, which is the biggest segment. That's how to actually pay the fine. There's only one place in Panama where you can pay the multa, the fine, for staying more than your tourist visa, and that is in Tumba Muerto, which is not too far from El Dorado Mall. It's kind of that area of the city. You can get there by metro bus. The metro bus takes you quite near. Bear in mind they open at 7 a.m. and close at 3 p.m, so it's a good idea to get there as early as possible. You'll see online it says you must dress formally. Like many things in Panama, it's consistently inconsistent. You will see people dressed in different kind of clothes that are supposedly allowed. So I would actually say don't worry about what other people are dressing as. If you can, do go in trousers and shoes and a polo shirt or a shirt if you are a male, and a female just be a little bit formal too. But if not, don't worry, you may still get in because they do seem to be not too strict about that rule. But it is a general thing in Panama. Government buildings, they do expect a more formal dress code. You may go and you'll see people not quite so formally dressed. That's really their risk if they arrive like that. I wouldn't take the risk, to be honest, because it depends who's on duty, if someone's had a meeting about it recently, and it's all up in the air. So the main thing is they can't refuse you entry if you are dressed formally. Second thing is you need to take cash. I have no confirmation that they will accept cards. Was not able to confirm that, and they definitely accept cash. So there's no reason to risk going in with no cash. It'd be a huge waste of time. I will update in the notes below the video if I can ever establish that they will take cards, but I believe they don't. The first thing you need to do when you enter the building is find the reception desk. That's on the ground level floor. You just go round to the right. It's actually in front of the front window, but you need to approach it from the other side. If there is a queue, which there normally will be, tell them what you want to do. They will give you a sheet which tells you what you need to do to get that done. So to pay the fine, you need these certain things. If you don't have the things on the sheet, then there are booths outside. As you face the building, look to your left, you'll see the booths. They will do everything for you. They'll just ask you to give them some information. You will definitely need to be able to provide them with a copy of certain things. So you either need to have physical copies or digital copies on a device that you can send them by Bluetooth or email. Expect to pay around $18 per person to have everything done on the list. That's if you don't bring your own passport photos or photocopies. So once you've got everything you need, go back into the migration, go straight downstairs and obtain a ticket for the queue. Because the ticket they gave you upstairs will now be invalid because too much time has passed. Go with that ticket across to the waiting area in front of the migration agents and wait for your number to be called out. Once you've been to that counter, they will then send you to the cashier's desk. Just go and pay the fine, pay the fee. They'll give you a receipt at the cashier's desk to show that you've paid. Take that over to the same migration agent again that you saw at first. If they're talking to someone, just wait, standing a bit back from them, and when they finish with that person, you just go ahead. You don't need to get another ticket. The migration agent will stamp the receipts for the multa and keep the receipt for the administration fee, and then you're off. That's all you need. You take the receipts with you, keep them in your passport to show when you leave the country. Just as an aside before I go, it may be useful for you to know that downstairs in the basement there's a charging point and a cafe, which is also a copy shop too. I hope my video's been informative and interesting for you. I do all sorts of things with my channel, so if you want to get the Panama related videos, please check out the link to my Panama playlist below and check that playlist in future. I'll always add my videos related to Panama to that list because I've got so many other videos that I put on this channel that are related to other topics. Thanks for watching.